What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to Trucker 219. So today we're diving into Covenant Transportation to see what it's like to go to work for them. In this video, we're going to call a driver recruiter from Covenant, check out some online reviews, as well as hear a driver experience from somebody right here on YouTube. And at the end of the video, I'll answer the question, okay or no way, would I, Trucker 219, go to work for Covenant? Before we get started, I want to give a shout out to a new member on the channel, Carolyn. Thank you so much, Carolyn, for the added support. I really appreciate it. It definitely goes a long way. And if you want to become a member on the channel and get access to special badges and emojis and have a shout out on the channel just like this one, I'll leave a link for that down below. This is definitely not a requirement, but the added support definitely goes a long way. But we're diving into Covenant right now. Let's go. March!
Hey, it's Tiffany in recruiting. We're being recorded for quality and training. How could I best be of service to you?
Yeah, I was calling to see if I can get some more information about coming to work for you guys. I will be graduating CDL school here, not this coming Friday, but the next Friday after that.
Okay, which CDL school?
TDI.
Okay. What specifically do you want to talk through? I could talk my face off. I could talk your face off probably about Covenant. So.
Yeah, that'd be great. I was wondering, like, if there's any additional training after I get done with my CDL. What?
Yes, you do some mentor training with one of our certified trainers. Basically, they're going to do the on-the-job part. So the school kind of is great about like teaching you how to hold the license, but the on-the-job functions. This is how you do a brake check. This is how we run our logs. This is how, Covenant standard is with our, like our GPS and, I don't know, this is how we fuel. This is what we do with our customers, that sort of thing.
Right. Okay. And then what is the time frame on that? And is there any pay while I'm going through that training? Yes.
So actually, training is 145 hours of log driving time in your tablet. And we're supposed to tell you guys as recruiters it'll be 4 to 6 weeks. But most recruits finish it in 3-ish.
Gotcha. And then the pay while I'm going through that training?
So orientation pay is $220 for the 3-day process. Once you're done with the orientation, it's $600 a week while you're in training. And then once you start, if you're coming without endorsements, you would start at 52 cents per mile, and our students increase 3 times over their course of their first year to accrue a total of 11 cents. So it'll be incrementally at 90 days, 6 months, and 1 year.
Okay, so it would be an additional 11 cents per mile over the course of 1 year?
No, accruing a total of 11 cents over the course of a year. So few cents at 90 days, few cents at 6 months, few cents at a year.
Okay, gotcha. So it could be up to an additional 11 cents per mile on top of the 52?
Yeah, no, it will be an additional 11 cents. And then if you get hazmat, tanker, and doubles, it increases you an additional 4 cents. So you've got the opportunity to make even more than just the 52.
Okay, gotcha. And then on average, how many miles are the drivers averaging a week?
I mean, that definitely isn't a fair question because of driver behaviors. I would say underperforming team might hit the 4,000 mile mark. Top performing team, 7,000 mile mark.
Now you're saying team do you guys only run team?
Out of the Florida market, yes, sir. So we're an over-the-road team driving company in Florida. Is that the one? That where you're at? Is that where you're?
No, I'm out of Tennessee. I actually live right down the road from you guys.
You're doing Christiana. So actually, you may have some other account availability once you graduate. We do occasionally, with our dedicated division, have some solos. It really depends on where you're at when you graduate, like where you're located at, but what lanes are available for seating. If you opt to not go, or we don't have eligibility for the dedicated where you would start off solo, after 4 to 6 months with us, you are eligible in that area to transition over from team to solo.
Okay. Sorry, I'm writing all this down.
It's okay. Remember, I did send you a email called The Covenant Team. Now, it doesn't cover anything dedicated because those are on a case-by-case as their open basis.
Okay. Well, I'm just trying to figure out because I didn't realize you guys were primarily a team situation. But for solo, what would the cents per mile be for that?
Again, it would vary based on when you graduated and what was available for seating at that time. We pay different for each account. We are not a flat rate carrier when it comes to dedicated. Dedicated, if they pay more, we pay more. If they pay less, we pay less.
Okay. All right. So back to the team thing. You said an underperforming team would do about 4,000 miles a week, and a average performing team would do what?
No, underperforming team or a lower performing team, I would say 4,000 miles.
Okay.
Rockstar overperforming team, 7,000 miles. Averages somewhere in between. Definitely based on driver behavior, though.
Gotcha. All right. And then the home time for that.
They're out for 12 days and home for 2. It's all drop and hook, no touch freight, drive-in and refrigerated only. Dedicated varies depending on the account. We would be able to give you more once you graduated. We saw what was open for seating.
Gotcha. Okay. And then for tuition reimbursement, do you guys offer that?
Yes, it's $250 a month after your 60th day, up to $10,000. So it covers the full. It covers the full amount. Or TDI. I think that the max, if you finance, is like 7.
Gotcha. Okay. And then do you have anything for veterans? I have a friend of mine that was thinking about possibly coming to do team at a later time, but if you guys only do team now, I might have to wait for him to get done.
We do if they've been discharged in the last 7 years.
Okay.
They have some incentivized pay and such.
Okay. Do you happen to know what that is offhand?
It would depend on it would depend on his qualifications, sir. So his experience in the military, what he did exactly, I would have to talk with him specifically about it.
All right.
Just because if they were in logistics, like an 88 Mike was actual trucker in the industry, even though they're not a civilian. So it varies with those.
Okay. Yeah, no problem at all. And then last couple questions here. Do you guys have cameras in your trucks?
We have event recorders. We do not have cameras. So event recorder, we can't watch, we can't log in or listen to you guys on command. They can only review what the event recorder reviews if triggered by a safety-sensitive function. So, for example, hard braking, it can record from your waistline to your shoulders and the width of the shoulders. So face is blurred out, lower half of your body is blurred out. They only do from waist to shoulders and the width of your shoulder.
Okay. And then that's obviously inward and outward facing.
Yeah, we have outward facing. We've had outward facing for a long time.
Yeah, they've been around.
The event recorders, we only started last year because it's a requirement for insurance now. So
Right. Okay, and then last question: what are your guys'?
As we could, I think we're one of the last carriers to. Adopt those into the cab, and they were like, either get it or get off our insurance. So
I understand. Okay, and then last question: what are your guys' trucks governed at?
65 on the pedal, 68 on cruise.
All right, thank you so much. I will take a look over that pamphlet again, and if I decide to go with you guys, I will give you guys another call back.
Definitely connect with us. I sent over the Covenant team email. It'll take a few minutes to receive because of the attachments or the flyers on it, but you definitely want to reconvene with us because we do frequently recruit from your area for the dedicated division. When something comes open, you're in a perfect area for placement. So I definitely reconvene with us once you're graduating, so that basically we can look at what you are eligible for, and I can go over more details with those because sometimes there's only one account, sometimes there's 2 or 3 or 4 even. It really just depends on what the need is at the time. So
Gotcha.
I would say that if you want to reconnect, I can dig into the open positions list for you and look at all things you might be eligible for. And of course, I can tell you more about like out time, home time, pay, running areas, stuff like that. But because they're custom built lanes, they're very account specific. So you want to talk to the driver as close as you can to recruiting them or placing them because basically you want to give them the best information possible. And sometimes what's not open today could be open tomorrow or vice versa. So
Right. I guess I got a couple more questions here now that I'm looking over this. So for team, it's a little bit different than solo. Obviously, I wouldn't be driving all the miles. How does that pay break down as far as, is that 52 cents per mile for all miles driven, or is it split?
Just a second, I'll break it down for you so that you better understand it. One moment.
Okay.
So we split our miles up, not our pay, because we pay based on tenor. So the more experience the driver has, the more money they're going to make.
Okay. So like you said, on that low end is an underperforming team would be at 4,000 miles. So basically, I'm driving half of that. I would get 2,000 miles for the week.
Well, because both drivers exhaust their hours of service, we just split the miles 50-50 that the total truck travels. If you're the day driver and you ran into more traffic or construction, you're going to move less miles by nature. But, you know, the total amount the truck drives is what we split 50-50.
Okay, sounds good. So I'm still at the 52 cents per mile starting out, plus the 11 over the course of a year incrementally. And if I were to get endorsements, an additional 4 cents per mile. And then if we got the 4,000 miles, it'd be split 50-50. If we got the 7,000 miles, it'd be split 50-50.
Yep, regardless of amount of miles driven, they just go halfers with it.
All right, sounds good. Well, thank you so much for your time. What was your name again?
Tiffany, and I'm the one that's on the Covenant team email. You'll see my contact information and stuff.
All right, sounds good. I appreciate you taking the time to talk with me through this, and I'll be in touch.
Okay, sounds great. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Bye-bye. We're getting ready to break down this recruiter phone call, but if you're enjoying the video and getting value out of it, hit that subscribe button so you can get updated on all my latest videos. All right, so I just got off the phone with Tiffany from the driver recruiting department of Covenant. Now, prior to going into this recruiting phone call, I didn't realize that they primarily run team operations. So just based off of that, this might be a turnoff to some drivers. However, I will tell you that team driving can be very lucrative, especially if you can get linked up with somebody that you guys work out a good schedule to where you guys can both run really hard. Now, that being said, they do hire new CDL graduates. They do not have a CDL training program. During the training, after you already have your CDL, you'll have to do 145 hours out on the road with a driver trainer or mentor, and that pay during that time is $600 a week. Now, 145 hours, if you're doing 10-hour days, should take about 14 and a half days. Now, obviously, if you do more hours or less hours, that time frame is going to be different, so it just kind of depends on how you drive. When you go to Covenant's orientation, it's $220 for the 3-day process of getting your orientation taken care of. The driver recruiter wasn't able to give me any information about solo driving, as they generally don't operate like that. However, they do have some dedicated lanes that you can get into between 4 and 6 months into your employment, but it all depends on the lanes that are available at any given time. That being said, if you are interested in being a team operation, the starting pay is 52 cents per mile, with pay increases over the course of the first year at 90 days, 6 months, and 1 year, which will add to that total cents per mile and bring that up to 63 cents per mile. And if you get your endorsements during that time, you can expect an additional 4 cents per mile, bringing your total cents per mile up to 67 cents per mile. But keep in mind, that's at the end of your first year. Now, being that this is a team operation, all the miles for the truck are divided 50% between each driver, and you will be making your individual cents per mile. So for instance, a driver that's already been on a year, they will be making that 67 cents per mile, while you as a newbie will be coming in at 52. So let's pull up the calculator and see where these numbers pan out. All right, so she said the lower end of team operations are doing about 4,000 miles a week, and the Rockstar drivers are doing about 7,000 miles a week. If we add those numbers together, that gives us 11,000, and divide that number by 2 to get a nice average of 5,500 miles per week. Now, for the sake of figuring, let's divide that number by 2 because that's between both drivers. So on average, each individual driver would drive 2,750 miles per week. Now, this is completely doable. However, for a starter company, I generally find this to be a little bit on the higher end. So we're going back to 5,500 miles for the team, and then we're going to multiply that by 52 cents per mile. Now that's $2,860 for the team, for the whole team. Now I have to divide that number by 2, as they said they would split the money between both drivers equally, and that brings you out at $1,430 for the week. Again, these numbers are averages and pre-tax, but for the sake of figuring, let's see what it would be after a year of working at Covenant. And I'm going to go ahead and assume that you haven't got your endorsements, as not everybody everybody is interested in going through that hassle. So we're back at that 5,500 miles. We're at that 63 cents per mile because she said you would get an increase of 11 cents per mile after your first year. Now you're at 3,465, but again, we got to divide that by 2 because that goes split between both drivers. So after a year, based off of their averages, you can expect $1,732.50 for your weekly check. The home time at Covenant is 12 days out for 2 days home. However, if you're running a team, you're definitely going to want to stay out a month or 2 at a time. She said their operations are 100% drop and hook and no touch freight. If you've accrued some debt from going through CDL training school, their tuition reimbursement is $250 a month up to $10,000. So let's just say your tuition for going through a CDL training school is $5,000 and you divide that by $250 a month. You're looking at having to be on with Covenant for 20 months in order to pay off that entire balance. And that puts you 4 months short of 2 years. Now they did say they have cameras in the trucks, but they're claiming that their cameras are only event recorders, meaning that the cameras will begin recording anytime any of the events that Covenant deems as a safety issue occur. So if you're speeding, doing a hard braking, following too closely, or taking a sharp turn, these are just a handful of the events that they might deem as a safety related issue, in which time the cameras will click on and begin recording. Covenant's trucks are governed at 65 miles per hour on the pedal and 68 miles per hour on cruise control. All that being said, the recruiter did send me an email with some of the information pertaining to going to work for Covenant. So over here on the email that they sent me, it looks like everything is pretty much what the recruiter was saying on the phone. We do not split pay, only miles. They do offer full benefits, available medical as soon as 60 days, 401k eligible at 6 months of service, vision, dental, life insurance, and all this is pretty much saying the same stuff that they were saying, the pay insights, things like that. Now this right here, I'm guessing for the wildcard fleet is for a hazmat. And the reason I say that is because this number 2 section here, it says use this link to find a location to complete fingerprints and background. And the website is TSA enrollment. So that's what you need to do in order to get your hazmat, is you have to do fingerprints and a background check. It says cost of fingerprints and background is $80. Once completed, send the receipt to your assigned recruiter for reimbursement once hired. Okay, and they also sent this little pamphlet here for military veterans if you want to screenshot that and take a look over that. And they also show the training and career path, student, team driver, team over the road, pay upgrade benefits, so on and so forth. But just at a quick glance, it looks to be the same as what they said on the recruiter phone call. All right, so flipping over here to their website, it just says search for jobs and for students. Join the reefer fleet. This is a reefer team run for a true team averaging 5,200 to 5,600 miles a week. And the wildcard fleet, this is a dedicated team run for a true team. Same thing, they're saying exactly the same thing. And then home time fleet up to 70 cents per mile when you choose your home time. And then immediately goes into filling out an application. Not really a whole lot of information there. Let's see what this home time fleet is about. Flexible home time fleet, earn up to 70 cents per mile. We are the top teaming carrier in trucking. We built our business on teaming and we are the leader in team freight. Okay, so it's saying the average miles per week, benefits, new equipment, must have a class A, no more than 1 serious traffic violation in the last year, no critical accidents in the last year, and no DUIs in the last 4 years. And again, we got this quick apply on the side here, so they're really pushing to get people on board. See if this Wildcat Elite fleet shows anything different, earning up to 74 cents per mile. Again, we're looking at this up to. This isn't for new drivers, this is for people that have been there for a while. It's saying 65 to 74 cents per mile, averaging 5,500 to 6,000 miles a week, true team recognition program. Again, benefits and newer equipment. And it looks like this is all about the same, minus the fact that this run requires hazmat. So that is true. Basically, Wildcat Elite Fleet definitely does require the hazmat, and it's wanting you to have that before signing on. And you must have doubles or be willing to obtain. So if you're looking at the Wildcat Elite Fleet, a hazmat would be required. And then let's see the reefer fleet here, which personally, I'm not a fan of reefer because I found that you sit in the docks and get unloaded all the time. But if it's a drop and hook company and they do 100% drop and hook, then it shouldn't be an issue. And this one is saying earn up to 70 cents per mile, reefer home weekly, average $84,000 a year, which I'm not sure if that's true or not, hazmat required, Okay, so this one also requires hazmat for the reefer division. So I'm gathering if you're wanting to go to work for Covenant, you need to go ahead and get your endorsements. This way you can sign on with them without having any issues. Again, home time is guaranteed. If late, we pay. That's something you want to take a screenshot of, and if it happens, make sure that they see that. They also have benefits, same type of equipment for this route. So yeah, based off of the recruiter phone call and the website, it's definitely more of a team operation. So if you're looking to go solo, this might not be it for you. But let's go ahead and take a look at some online reviews to see what other drivers have had to say about working for Covenant. All right, so right out the gate here, we're seeing a 3.2 star, which isn't bad. It's about the same as other companies. We got these reviews sorted to newest as well. First one coming up out of 2026 from January 7th, poor management out of Dallas, Texas. This one says, I get fired by a dispatch mistake, gave me wrong trailer number with a live load, then they deleted Qualcomm message and set me up, blaming is my fault. At the time I get to Chattanooga, they give me discharge without let me show proof and evidence I was having problem was their mistake. Pros is cents per mile, cons is unfair management. All right, so this one's not showing what location they're at or what position they held in the company, but it says toxic work environment. Manager hires only men and friends of his. Very retaliatory. If you ask him any questions, you will regret it. Okay, so this one definitely seems like more of an office person, but it says town hall meetings that interrupt productivity. They use fear tactics, exclusion, and openly discredit anyone he doesn't like. Okay, so this definitely seems like a vendetta against one particular person in the office or a manager, and I suppose it probably would have been helpful for them to include a location if they wanted to actually get something done about it. Okay, this one from January 3rd of this year. Nice place to work if you have a co-driver you can get along with. What is the best part of working at the company? Super nice staff and indoctrination location. Nice equipment, but did not get along with my co-driver. They paid me every penny and were nice about it. No complaints, except we should be able to pick our co-driver. Well, according to their website, it definitely said that you could pick your own driver and change any time, it said too. It asked, what's the most stressful part of working at the company? Just dealing with a co-driver that thought it was his truck and never let me sleep in the sleeper. What is the work environment and culture like at the company? Very nice people in the office and training department. What is the typical day like for you at the company? Drive from coast to coast, sleep when you can, sometimes in a motel. Okay, so that's a pretty informative review. It seems to contradict their website a little bit, but let's keep reading and see what other people have had to say. All right, so this one's a 1-star from December of 25. Bad fleet team communication. Over-the-road team driver out of Chattanooga, Tennessee. The hardest part of the job is effective communication with the fleet team. Now, some teams are better than others, but typically you're waiting 20 minutes or more to get any information out of the fleet team. If you call more often than not, you're on hold until the system hangs up on you. This applies to whether it's the day or night team. And no matter how many times you provide the night team with information, it's never known about until you send it during hours of the day team. Okay, so what I'm guessing is drivers are sending information over to the dispatch crew and information isn't being shared between the day and the night shift. And that's exclusively within the dispatch office, not necessarily the drivers. And the pros say decent pay, plenty of work. Cons, team/co-driver, unresponsive fleet team, political messages on trailer. Okay, this person says good to start off with a 4-star review. If you have no experience, they are a good company to start with. They are a good company to start with if you don't have any experience. Okay, just say the same thing 3 times. They have solo available, but they are mostly teams. Okay, so this one's showing that they do have some solo, and that's what the recruiter was saying, but it's kind of hard to come by. This one says, not too bad, a 3-star review from a Class A CDL driver out of Chattanooga. Pay was fair at first, but you know how that goes. As fast as management, they won't really respect people's hometown whenever an emergency would come up. Well, if their website is true, like we've seen over here, if they're late for home time, we pay. So I would definitely be taking a screenshot of this right here if you need it, just in case future things come up where they don't get you home. Better be expecting a paycheck. Okay, so this one's a 4-star, had a fairly good experience. Good site leadership made a huge difference. And this one's out of Oklahoma City, Oklahoma. What is the best part of working at the company? Good people overall at the site. The most stressful part of working at the company? Nothing. Company was good. Customer was awful. Yeah, that happens. It's one of the more unfortunate things about being being a trucker, you kind of get talked down to quite a bit from shippers and receivers. So that's one thing you gotta just deal with, I guess. What is the work environment and company culture like? Seem to be very open and positive. All right, this 1 star from December says, my experience was unfulfilling, partially due to existential factors and partially due to in-house factors. Says this company has nice facilities and seems more modern than most alternative mega carriers, but the experience is far from perfect. In fact, I would say that there is a great deal of room for improvement. However, the training I received from Nick Borboza, veteran driver of over 28 years and 3 million safe driving miles under his belt, was spectacular. I am more than confident in my skills, knowledge, adaptability, and performance as a result of having learned from this man. The pros say clean, modern facilities, new equipment, and depending on your trainer, grateful experience. Cons say poor procedures, terrible communication, false promises, and neglectful management staff. All right, so we're just going to scroll through here and see what the highlights are. 2 stars says 5 star flexible home time, great miles. 3 star could be better out of North Carolina. 5 star decent company. 1 star here says drivers are not precious cargo. 5 star here says well-maintained trucks. 2 stars says don't do it. All right, let's see what this don't do it says. Pay can be good, dispatch is awful, communication is non-existent, you get lied to repeatedly. I've sat for days without communication or load. I was forced solo and only paid 32.5 cents per mile. So as I've always said on these reviews, whether it be on Indeed, Google, Reddit, wherever you're getting your reviews from, the main thing you want to focus on are things that are being a repeat thing. So if there's a one-off about a bad manager or a one-off about bad equipment, not a big deal. Somebody's probably just upset. But when you keep on seeing the same thing reoccurring, it's most likely going to be true. And I will say the recruiter phone call that you guys seen was the 4th attempt that I made to try to reach these folks. Now, the recruiter that I talked to, Tiffany, she was great. She was very informative, answered all my questions, and even sent me some more information via email. But prior to that, I had called 3 times, and like that one review had said, the system ended up hanging up on me. So I'm led to believe, as far as the communication goes, Covenant is going to be lacking quite a bit in this department. All right, so we've done the recruiter phone call. We've looked at some reviews, but let's go ahead and take a look at what some content creators have had to say about working for Covenant. And this video is from the YouTube channel Delia Divine, and as always, I'll leave a link for that down below.
This video is about what happened, what transpired behind me leaving Covenant. Just my journey. What did I learn? How am I going to move forward? So I'm asking myself these questions lately. This is my OTR experience. It ain't gonna look like yours. I had a lot of patience with the company. And when I say a lot of patience, the communication was Ari. The line of accountability, trash. I've experienced different roles within transportation. So when a higher up treats people as if they're below them, we were split into different teams. Team people were respectful to me because of the way I conduct myself. But from what I experienced with my co-driver, they can say things that are belittling of like, I'm your boss. I all know that we're company drivers. Like, you don't need to rub that in our faces at all, you know. But at the end of the day, as a driver, you're the one behind this truck, you're the one behind this wheel, you're the one hauling the freight. So for dispatchers or fleet teams to disregard that aspect, it doesn't speak well.
Yeah, it definitely speaks to the company if somebody's being rude and disrespectful to you. As a general rule, a lot of drivers have a big head that we make or break the industry, and I get that, but everybody has a role to play within the transportation and logistics community. Shippers, receivers, drivers, dispatchers, everybody has a part to play within the logistics community, and every piece is important to move product across the United States. So it's important to treat everybody with respect. However, when somebody's feeling disrespectful or feeling like they have an attitude, truck drivers are generally the ones that take the brunt of that. You show up to a shipper 30 minutes early and they're upset. You show up to a shipper 30 minutes late and they're upset. You don't answer your dispatcher's phone call on the first ring and they get upset. And it's just an unfortunate truth that drivers have to deal with the bad attitudes coming from all angles.
The lack of communication was what mainly did it for me. And it's like, I understand in transportation, things are not always going to go as planned. It's variables that don't change. You have a driver, you have the dispatcher that's going to be communicating, you have the broker or the planner. These 3 people should be at least working in alignment with each other, because the driver has to drop off that load, the dispatcher has to be aware of anything that may be happening with that driver on the road, and the planner has to know how to plan and bounce loads, and let's just work together. So my issue was, I had home time coming up. In the past, they have messed up my home time more than a week in advance, and that is done, and you guys still don't get us home on home time. That's crazy. Now you're just being dismissive about what we said overall. Like, it wasn't important to you, obviously. 2 times messed up. I pushed back about, like, we put this submission in already. Why didn't you guys communicate that you guys were having issues? Keep us in the loop, because we're out here. We are out here day in and day out through all these treacherous roads, winds, and all of that. Just let us know. Like, let's talk about it. But they didn't talk about it. They just did things. The week before Christmas,
Yeah, communication is one of the big things, and this is really indicative of what the reviews were saying as well, that they have poor communication over there. And imagine your hometown is in Tennessee and you're all the way in Wyoming. All you have is communication. It's not like you could just pop into the dispatch office, hey, I have this problem, can you help me out? You have to reach out on the phone, and they have to be answering the phone calls and be helpful and keep you in the loop. Otherwise, you're feeling like you're lost out there on the road. So communication is one of the biggest factors in trucking, and if a company is lacking on that, that's a big problem.
we had dropped the load in Sterling, Illinois. We dropped it and we asked them, hey, do you guys want us to pick up an empty while we're here? They was like, yeah, go ahead and pick up an empty. Okay, cool, no problem. We pick up the empty. It was going to be time for my reset soon. We was just like, okay, we're just going to sit here at the truck stop so we both get our reset, and we should be good to go for Christmas week to roll out. So then they tell us, go drop the empty and then go bobtail back to Chattanooga. What you mean drop the empty and bobtail back to Chattanooga? And we did not get no type of warning like, hey, this is what you guys need to do, this is what this is about. It wasn't none of that. Like, it just says drop the empty and come back to Chattanooga. So us as drivers, we're like, what's going on? We should have a whole nother week left before we even are able to go home. Like, what's happening? No one was giving us answers, and it was after hours. So like, people go home. Like, we can't get in touch with our fleet team like that. They have the overnight fleet team, but it's a little bit longer to get a hold of somebody at nighttime.
Yeah, definitely if you're running a team operation, you have to have staff on board day and night. And I know as a general rule across the board with mega carriers, they are definitely lacking in the evenings as well as on the weekend. But if this company is primarily a team operation, it's gotta be 24/7.
Nighttime dispatcher was like, oh, it's probably because you guys are going to reteam. Me and my co-driver were having issues regarding miles ran and my way versus his way. With me having my license less than a year, by the time this comes out, probably it's going to be already a year. But me having my license less than a year, my co-driver believed that I need to be doing 650 miles every day. That is achievable, but keeping in mind weather, terrain, tiredness, sleepiness, how much sleep I done got, all of that.
Yeah, 650 miles a day is a good chunk of miles for the day. When we talk to the driver recruiter, their trucks are governed at 65 to 67 miles an hour. This means that you got to run at top speed for at least 10 hours to get that 650 miles. And especially if you're operating on the East Coast, going through major cities and stuff, this just isn't going to happen. At least not consistently every single day.
Those three things affect, in my opinion, how a driver drives. So there'll be many times we'll be coming from north, going down to West Coast, from East Coast, back up to north. Like driving Missouri, I do not like driving in Missouri. I do not like driving in Kansas. Those are not my favorites. Like Oklahoma, too windy. I'm cool. They told us to drop the empty and to bobtail back to Chattanooga. Our overnight team said, y'all need to be, is it put in the system that you guys are going to be reteaming. So that's possibly why they bring you guys back to Chattanooga. Overnight dispatch cannot make significant adjustments in comparison to the daytime people. She put in the notes that we're okay with staying a team until our home time, which was going to come up in like a week. So, and keep us in the Texas area and back to East Coast. Between Texas and East Coast, so that by the time the loads are done for the week, a crazy drive back to the terminal, which is in Chattanooga. She said, both of y'all get y'all reset in, and then y'all pick it back up on Monday for whatever loads they may have for y'all. I said, cool. Monday come, daytime dispatchers, they was just like, we didn't approve for y'all to come back to Chattanooga. I don't know who did that.
Wow.
So I'm like, what?
So if the nighttime dispatch is saying one thing and the daytime dispatch is saying something different, this isn't just a communication breakdown between the driver and the dispatcher. This is a breakdown in-house. And this is going to lead to nonstop confusion for the drivers when you're getting told multiple different things from multiple different people.
We was already in Indiana because the nighttime dispatch person told us to stay put and don't go anywhere. So that's what we did. We stayed put and didn't go anywhere. But we were still trying to understand what was happening with being dispatched to Chattanooga. We already dropped the trailer. So here come Monday. Now we got to pick up an empty trailer to get hauling when y'all just told us to drop off the old one, but we could have still had it.
Now imagine what would happen if they aren't paid for those miles. What if they're only getting paid for their loaded miles and not bobtail miles? So they're being shipped all over the place with not getting paid to do it. Not only that, but regardless if you're bobtail or with a trailer or with a load, you're still using up your hours. Now that being said, I would hope that they would pay for all miles driven, loaded, and empty, but my point is this communication breakdown is going to lead to a lot of issues.
If you guys didn't tell us to drop it off, that put us behind because now we got to go get a trailer in order to start rolling. It was just didn't make any sense. We should have just kept the trailer. We should have just kept the trailer for the whole weekend. So anyway, so mind you, it's Christmas week, y'all. It's Christmas week. You guys have home time coming up. We're gonna go ahead and dispatch you all your loads for the week, and you guys should be good up to your home time. You're like, okay, cool, no problem. We have to pick up an empty trailer about an hour or so away by 10 p.m. That's when my co-driver's hours was going to reset. So I would start driving first and then he'll drive after because I prefer to drive at night. There ain't nobody on the road. Way stations are closed. I love it here. He planned us all of our loads for the week. Indiana, go to Ohio. From Ohio, go to California, Haywood, California. From Haywood, California, Fontana, California. Then to Georgia. And then they will bobtail us from Georgia to Chattanooga. So our whole week was planned out. Cool. I go to sleep and I wake up to start my shift and I see load canceled. I say, okay, it starts. It's the week of Christmas. Load is canceled due to low freight. Okay, I expected this, but I wanted to at least pick up a load on Monday, and it was Monday night too. So it was Monday night when we was able to roll. We should have got that like early in the morning. They came in at 8 o'clock when they sent that message. So I said, okay.
Yeah, 8 o'clock at night, most things are going to be closed. You might be able to get a reefer load or something like that late. But as far as dry van freight, that's pretty much done.
Being canceled, trip B from California to Georgia. So I reached out to the dispatch and I was like, hey, trip B is affected by A. Are you guys going to give us a substitute load to backfill that, go into California? And they're like, hang tight. We're going to try and find you another load. And it's like, okay. I said, well, if you guys can't find us another load, then with it being Christmas and it's low freight, let's just go back to Chattanooga because things are not going to start picking back up until Thursday. So you're telling me that we're going to have to sit out here in Indiana from Saturday night all the way up to Thursday, not making no money? That didn't make no sense. Contacted them at 1, contacted them at 6, contacted them at 9 in the morning. Hey, do you guys have any updates on when a load will be assigned to us? We would like to get hauling. They were like, we're doing our best and no, we can let you bobtail back to Chattanooga.
So basically, she sat on her whole shift from 8 o'clock at night to 8 o'clock in the morning, not knowing what's going on. And now she's saying that they wouldn't let her take the truck home for the holiday break.
I was just like, you ain't gonna have no freight though until like Thursday. You know what I'm saying? So at this point, we're not making any money and the communication sucks and telling us the same thing that y'all been telling us for 2 days. So if you really want to count it, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, we were sitting for like 3 days. No money, sitting in Indiana with no load, no trailer. Mind you, we've been traveling since Saturday and into Sunday morning, and then we was going to switch, and then we realized that he didn't have any hours to drive. Really felt like he was doing that intentionally. He running his 14 and not being able to drive. There was something to that. Somehow, something had happened with his clock to where he couldn't drive. Sus, real sus, real sus. So 3 days, no load. They said, hang tight, hang tight, hang tight, hang tight. I got tired of hang tight. You have no course of action and you're just trying to just like gas me up or just give me empty promises. I'm going to get upset because now you're not being transparent.
Right.
Now you're not communicating. Now I'm being offended because I'm out here in a bunk with another person for 3 days, not making any money. That's the whole reason I'm in a truck, honey. So contacted them again. Hey, are you guys, is there any load for us? No, we're still working on it. For 3 days, y'all are working on getting us a load. Y'all might as well just bobtail us back. We don't have a trailer.
So I'm going to let you guys in on a little bit of insight on this. The last over-the-road company I was with, we only had about 5 drivers, and I was pretty close with the owner of the company. In fact, I'm still friends with him to this day. So being that I was really close with him and I'm always curious and learning, I was always asking a bunch of questions of what it's like on the other side of the truck. Meaning in the office, as an owner, dispatchers, things like that. What does it take to make a company run? And during this, I found that trucks have a required amount of money that they need to make for the truck. When dispatch is saying that they can't can't find a load, what this really means is that there's no loads in the direction that they want to take you, paying enough money for them to make the truck move. But the big issue with a lot of these major carriers is they're so hard set on that number that they have to achieve that they lose sight of the big picture. And the big picture is that over the course of the year, the truck should be averaging this amount. If you take a load going down to Florida, it's going to pay great, but good luck getting a good paying load coming out of Florida. Same thing with Laredo, Texas. You can get into Laredo, Texas all day long, but getting out of it for a good price is a huge undertaking. So one individual load isn't going to make or break the truck. It's an overall average, and a lot of dispatchers just don't see that. They have that strict number that they want to try to hit, whether it's $2 a mile, $3 a mile, whatever that company sets, that's what they're told that they have to hit, otherwise that truck can't move.
So I said to my co-driver, I said, hey, since your hours is replenished, sir, and I drove 7 hours, go ahead, sir, and go ahead and start hopping in the driver's seat, and let's just go ahead and go back to the terminal. Because it's Christmas Eve, you're not going to have no freight for us until the 27th or the 26th. And then with that being said, Christmas was on Wednesday. That means Thursday, Friday, Saturday, I would get one load in. On average, if it's one load, it can't do no 2,400 miles with that. So it's going to be a 1,400 on average mile load. Which means with us being a team, that 1,400 or so miles is going to be split in half. Some miles for him, some miles for me. So that is going to equate to like a $300 paycheck, $500 paycheck, if that. No. Let's go home, and then when y'all ready, we can come back. You know what? Y'all are playing games. I already put my resignation at this point, but I was going to stay if things had changed that final week before I went home. Things went bad. Things just went all the way bad. My co-driver said, hey, you want to go ahead and start driving? What am I driving for? I drove 7.5 hours here. And when was the last time you drove, sir? On Saturday? That's when you last drove? No, I'm not driving, homie. I'm not driving. You go ahead and drive us home. Let's drive us back. Horrible team experience.
Okay, so it definitely seems like there's a huge communication issue over at Covenant, and this video was released just 3 months ago. But it seems like Delia also had an issue with her co-driver, and I'm going to talk more about that here in just a minute because I've also driven team. But first I want to show you guys this short reel of what the dorms look like over at Covenant Transportation.
Hey, what's up everybody, it's Mother Essence, and I am here at Covenant. Yes, I made it. I'm grateful I made it. I'm just gonna show you the room. It's a 2-person room. This is the blanket. Get an idea if you need something thicker or not.
Yeah, you should definitely be bringing your bedroll with you when you go to your first truck driving job.
This is where I would store things and lock it. My locker, if I were to utilize that. This is the other side for the other person.
Okay, so ultimately this is a place to lay your head. That being said, is it just me or does this look like a freaking prison cell? Now granted, you're going to be in a much smaller space when you're in the truck, and these mattresses are about the same thickness, so you're going to have to get used to that anyway. But nothing about this room says comfort. There's no bathroom in the room, there's no privacy in the room. I'm guessing you'll have to use communal showers, and you have a tiny little locker to store your stuff while you're away from the room. Alright, so there's the hallway with a bunch of other rooms that are set up exactly like this. And it looks like the water fountain is right there as well, so I'm guessing again that the showers and bathrooms are in a separate location. And in my opinion, this does not look super comfortable, but at the end of the day, it is a place to rest your head while you're going through orientation. Alright, so before I answer the question, okay or no way, I want to give you a little bit of my experience as a team driver. When I first got started in the trucking industry, part of the training operation was to go teaming with somebody who had also gone through training, and this was known as phase 2. And I met one of my really good friends that I'm still friends with to this day doing that team operation. And in fact, we had gone on to team at that first company as well as 2 other companies after that together. So I've had my fair share of team driving. That being said, from that experience, I learned a lot of things. And being that Covenant is primarily a team operation, I want to give you this information so that you can make a decision whether teaming is right for you or not. One of the most important things about teaming, number one, is that you have to be able to get along with the person that you're teaming with. You guys are crammed cramped in a tight little space day in and day out, and there's no doubt that there's going to be some times where you get on each other's nerves. So if you have somebody that overall you can get along with, they're reasonable, and you can have a conversation with them about disagreements and things like that, it makes it a whole lot easier. But the ultimate thing that you have to have with your partner is trust, because the way team driving works is one person is sleeping while the other person is driving, and vice versa. So this means that you need to trust the driver and the driver's skill set to be able to have any hope of getting a good night's sleep. Because with every turn that you take, especially starting out, there is this ultimate fear that you're going to flip the truck. And I think that's just because you're laying down while they're driving. And this brings up the next big factor in team driving, is that you have to be able to get a good night's sleep. And it's really challenging to get a good night's sleep while team driving in general. With bumps on the road, sharp turns, cars driving by, the noise of the road, there's a good amount of adjustment period where you have to spend time getting used to sleeping in those environments. And my last piece of advice, if you do want to go team driving, is operate on a set schedule. Have one day driver and one night driver and set a 12-hour shift. Now, I know you have 11 hours of driving, 14 hours on duty, and 10 hours in the sleeper berth. But the reason why I say is to operate on a 12-hour clock. This is so that you guys know no matter who does the most amount of driving or the least amount of driving, at this specific time, you're swapping shifts. And ultimately, this will help with your sleep schedule as well. So for instance, me and my co-driver did 7 to 7. I was the daytime driver and he was the nighttime driver. So if we had a full day of driving, 11 hours, we would take an hour in between shifts to stop somewhere, get some food, shower, and just take a small breath in between shifts to unwind and or to get amped up for the shift ahead. So when you're looking for somebody to drive with, either bring a friend of your own to this company or sit down and have conversations with the available people to team with. And the things you want to ask, are you a morning person or a night owl? And this will help you decide who has what shift. And also, before you guys get into the truck together, you guys need to come up with a plan for conflict resolution. Whether that be take a break, talk about it, but no matter what, there's going to be some problems that arise, but how you handle it makes all the difference. For me and my co-driver, we would have a spirited discussion about whatever the issue was. We would take some time apart to reflect on it, and then we would come back together and figure out a resolution. Because at the end of the day, you're with this person 24/7 for up to 3 months at a time. And at the end of your teaming experience, you'll either be the best of friends or the worst of enemies. So now onto the question, okay or no way, would I, Trucker 219, go to work for Covenant Transportation? And the answer to that is just barely an okay. When it comes to pay, they're starting drivers off at a really good number at 52 cents per mile, with major increases at 90 days, 6 months, and 1 year. And they also have a really good tuition reimbursement program. Their home time policy is pretty standard, but ultimately, even team driving, you're going to want to stay out for a good period of time. The big downfall for Covenant is their communication, not only between drivers and dispatchers, but also between day and nighttime dispatchers. So a couple of things I would recommend if you're going to go to work for Covenant. Number one, decide whether or not you want to be a team driver or not. If so, make sure you pick out a good teammate. Secondly, make sure you get information about layover and detention pay. As when we heard from Dahlia, they were sitting for 3 days. So if you're stuck without a load, you want to make sure that you're getting paid for that time. And this is where layover pay comes into play. And finally, because they have so many issues with communication, make sure that you're getting every single thing in writing. It sounds like they use a Qualcomm system in their trucks, and the Qualcomm is generally for messaging, logs, as well as navigation. So if you're getting directions over the phone from a night dispatcher, you want to make sure that you get that either sent to you on the Qualcomm, email, or text. So this way, if a situation like Delia had comes up, you have proof in writing that this person told you to go here at this time. And also, I've seen a few issues with people being able to get home on time. But that being said, I would go directly to their website and screenshot this image, because it says right here, home time is guaranteed. If late, we pay. So make sure when you're going to work for them that you find out how much they pay if they are late for home time. Team driving is definitely one of the more challenging ways to go trucking, but ultimately, if you get synced up with a good teammate, you can make some really good money. But I want to hear from you guys. If you've gone to work for Covenant, leave your experience down in the comments below so other drivers can check that out as well. And if you want to see more company deep dives just like this one, click the playlist right here. And as always, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. All right, bye.